Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, co-author of the Parable Port series, and we're finally talking about this book. I don't know how, but somehow I have managed to avoid all spoilers for this book. I am surprised because this book is like on so many people's top 10 lists on YouTube and on BookTube and all the places, and I always skip it. Whenever I see someone starting to talk about this book, I will skip ahead because I do not want to hear about it because I knew this is one a lot of people like to talk about. And my brother had been telling me, you've got to read it. So I finally did. I sat down, I read it in one sitting because I could not stop reading, and I really enjoyed it. What book am I talking about? Obviously, you probably know from the thumbnail, but it is none other than The Horror at Camp Jellyjam in the Goosebumps series. Wow, this book. Now, I have often been one to say, sometimes R.L. Stine will weave in this commentary into his books, and I don't always think he knows he's doing it. I think he knew what he was doing here, and he was very intentional. And we are going to talk about the commentary in this book because it is fascinating to me. I kept reading this thing and thinking, whoa, R.L. Stine, what are you saying? What are you saying about everyone who loves to play sports, especially travel sports or really serious sports? Now, true confession time. I played basketball in middle school. I was not good at all. I was very terrible at it. You know, if middle school had had a pickleball, pickleball team, I would have joined that because I probably would have been good at that because I am not bad at pickleball. I am terrible at most other sports though. I like to play them. I think they're fun. I am just very bad at them. So I was very bad at basketball. I was not good at playing. I was good at passing and rebounding. Those are the two things I could do. And my coach just told me, Shaun, no matter what happens, get under the hoop and get the rebound and pass it. And I thought, okay, I can do that. So that was my little claim to fame on my basketball team. I was the rebounder and I was pretty good at rebounding. Everything else, very bad. But hey, that's okay. If you got the one skill, that's all right. Now, in The Horror at Camp Jellyjam, we start off a little slow. And I remember thinking at the very beginning of the book, I was like, oh man, is this how it starts? We're on a road trip? Because Wendy and Elliot, the brother and sister in this story, they're on a road trip with their family and they're road tripping, and it kind of starts real slow. It did remind me of the beginning of One Day at Horrorland. I thought, this is the same thing. Like, we're on this road trip, we're just going, here we go. When are we going to get something going here? Like, when's something going to happen? But then something does happen because Elliot and Wendy, they decide to go into the camper that they're pulling with their truck. And as they get into the camper somehow dislodges from the hitch and rolls down the hill, and they end up right in front of Camp Jellyjam. Now, Camp Jellyjam, something creepy and weird is happening there because it is a camp all about sports, where there are every sport you can think of there is to play, except Wendy is not so into sports, but everybody at the camp is into sports. And so is Elliot. Elliot, the brother, is super into sports and he's excited. And he learns that if you collect these tokens, if you get enough of them, you get to go to this special bonfire and become like this special person at the camp. And he's really hoping to get that. Only soon things start to show that it's not all it's cracked up to be at Camp Jellyjam because there is some kind of horror going on at this camp. What is that horror? I will not spoil it for you because I don't know why the villain of this book does not get more Goosebumps press. Now, it could be that because I've avoided this book so much, I just have not heard much about the villain of this book, but it's so good. I was like, this villain is up there with, I think, like Slappy, the Mummy, like, it's so creepy and terrifying. This could be one of the most terrifying books that there is in the Goosebumps series because of the ending. The ending sequence is so terrifying and very, very interesting. Now, let's talk commentary a little bit, because this book is saying some stuff, and I am so curious what people who are sports fans think about this. Because in this book, you have this whole camp where everyone is obsessed with sports. In fact, the camp counselors get kind of upset at you if you are not into sports and are not trying your best to win. When Wendy is kind of like, I just want to have fun and I just want to enjoy. And I think that that's a very interesting commentary on sports. And this took place in the 90s, and I think this has just ramped up even more today. You have a lot of people today who think, if my kid can just get that scholarship, if they can just get that college scholarship, their whole college will be paid for, and the college scholarship is going to come from the sports. Well, the reality is very few people actually get sports scholarships, but so many people have gone all in thinking that is the place to get a scholarship for college. And so they're trying to get these scholarships and they just can't get it. And it reminded me so much of the obsession that the people in this book have in trying to play sports, win at sports, get these tokens. It's all about the trophy. If they can just get the trophy, then they can win. Because they're not winning if they're having fun in this book. That is not a win to anyone at Camp Jellyjam, except Wendy. Wendy, she is going against the grain here, because she is saying, no, I am just wanting to have fun. That's what I'm here to do. And I think at the very end, you realize that these characters have become enslaved to the idea of doing sports and playing sports and making sports their whole identity. It's almost like, what are they without the sports in their life? There's nothing else going on at this camp except sleeping, talking about sports, and playing sports, and watching sports. And even the watching sports, you're only watching while you're waiting for the next tournament that you are going to be in. And Wendy is just not into that whole life. She does not want to be part of that machine that is really a big part of this storyline. And I thought it was so interesting how R.L. Stine really tackled this, because I do think there is a level where sports can become not fun because kids are being pushed by their coaches, by their parents, by themselves to do more, win more, be better at the sport that they're playing. And it almost becomes this all-encompassing thing that takes over their lives. Now, of course, you could say this about almost any hobby, where you could say, oh, well, book reading's taken over your life. Like, that's all you do. This is not all I do. I actually do a lot of different things, and I definitely do book reading for fun. It is something I highly, highly enjoy, and I enjoy talking about books, and it's fun to me. And I know for a lot of people, playing sports is super fun. They love playing basketball, soccer, baseball, whatever it is. They love playing it because it's fun to them, and they want to talk about it, and that's awesome. I think what R.L. Stine is trying to say here is that when the thing becomes the obsession, that's when it becomes a problem. And I think anything can become like that, can become an obsession that gets you to the point of it's horrific, because you're so obsessed with that thing that you can't see anything else going on. You can't just enjoy it. And I really do believe that human beings, that we are meant to enjoy things like this, like sports and playing games and reading and hobbies and nature and all the different things that there are. I think we're meant to enjoy them. I don't think we're meant to be obsessed and just controlled by those things, because ultimately that is what's happening at Camp Jellyjam. There is this control over these kids' lives as they just strive to be the best player, the best player, the best player. Instead of following the Wendy path of saying, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to try hard, like I'm going to do my best, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be controlled by this thing. I'm going to have fun with it and enjoy it. And I think that is the goal. And I think that R.L. Stine here is really tapped into this. I think you feel it as you read it. And especially if you've ever known someone who's been obsessed with something like this, you can see that so easily. And all that to say, the scares are here. Because like I said, the ending of this book is absolutely terrifying. Like, I would put the ending sequence when you find out what is going on behind Camp Jellyjam. It is absolutely terrifying and probably one of the creepiest scenes I've ever read in a Goosebumps book. Like, it tops it. Now, is this book on my favorites list for Goosebumps? I don't know. I really did enjoy it, and I probably would reread this one for sure, but I still think I like a couple other ones a little better than this one in particular, but this one is still so incredible. I think this is one of those Goosebumps books. If you are, into Goosebumps and you love it, you're going to have read this. If you are curious about Goosebumps, this is definitely one to check out, because I think this will tell you kind of what some of the best Goosebumps books are like. They have really strong characters that are not annoying. I really enjoyed that Wendy and Elliot are a brother-sister pair that are not annoying at all. You also have a super creepy villain. You have a really great setup. The beginning, like I said, just a tiny bit slow, but I think it's enough. The rest of the book is so intense that you needed that slow start in order to ease you into what is happening, because it's intense what goes on later on in this book. So at the end of the day, I would definitely have to give the Horror at Camp Jellyjam 5 out of 5 stars. This is one of my favorite Goosebumps books. Probably in my top 5, I would have to say. I think still Cry the Cat, The Ghost Next Door, some of those are still up there for me. The Headless Ghost is another one that's up there for me. But this one is definitely probably in my top 5, if maybe just under the top 5 at like number 6, because this one was so good. I loved it so much. Have you read this one? Please let me know what you think down below. And especially if you have ever been, if you ever played travel sports or you have read this book and have done sports, I would love to hear your perspective on this book. Do you think R.L. Stine over-exaggerated it, or do you think this is an accurate depiction of what it can be like? Obviously, not everywhere, but what it could be like. So definitely let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.